Hello, this is Patrick Barnett in Montreal. It is Sunday, November 9, 2025. This is the 27th International Press Review. It follows up on the 26th Press Review, number 26, which was entitled Murder on the High Seas. Today, the Press Review gets the title, Trump, Splinters U.S. Military. The last International Press Review, the 26th one, called Murder on the High Seas, focused on the fact that the U.S. military over the last months has carried out a series of extrajudicial killings in the Caribbean and in the Pacific too, dropping ordnance bombs on small little vessels in international waters, supposedly vessels carrying drugs. There are a number of people in the U.S. military who actually disagreed with this, and the 26th Press Review focused on one man, Admiral Alvin Halsey, head of Southern Command in the U.S. military system. He abruptly resigned when it was revealed that the CIA was involved in an operation putting pressure on Venezuela, and also because he was the head of Southern Command, but he was left out of the loop when it came to these killings. That is part of the background to the story I'm discussing today. The International Press Review number 26 was based on reporting in the New York Times, and what you see on your screen now is the New York Times edition for Saturday, November 8, 2025. Why this paper again? What is going on here? The answer is simple. The New York Times has approximately 5 to 6 reporters assigned to this story. That's how important it is. I, in my lifetime, have never seen a story like this in this paper, which I've read since I was a very, very young person. So I'm going to read this story to you, and then we're going to see a panel of the pictures carried in the paper of the United States military people who have either retired or have been sacked from their jobs. The headline of the story reads, Unusual Purge of Top Officers in the Military. And then the subheadline after that is, Hegseth's moves create an air of mistrust. That's a reference to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense in the United States. He's been involved in a lot of these separate stories that form one larger pattern. Here are the first 3.5 paragraphs of this front page story, November 8, 2025, in the New York Times, Washington. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has fired or sidelined at least 24 generals and admirals over the past 9 months in a series of ousters that could reshape the U.S. military for years to come. His actions, which are without precedent in recent decades, have come with little explanation. In many cases, they have run counter to the advice of top military leaders who fought alongside the officers in combat. Senior military officials said. The utter unpredictability of Mr. Hegseth's moves, as described in interviews with 20 current and former military officials, has created an atmosphere of anxiety and mistrust that has forced senior officers to take sides and at times pitted them against one another. Mr. Hegseth has delayed or canceled the promotions of at least 4 senior military officers because they previously worked for General Mark A. Milley, a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff whom President Trump loathes and has repeatedly accused of disloyalty. The person referred to in the New York Times article, Mark A. Milley, is a retired United States general. He was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under Trump, then under Biden, and withdrew from service in 2023. But there has been an ongoing feud, an enormous feud between the Trump people and General Milley. It goes back to the events of January 6th, a couple of years ago. The virulence of this feud is emblematic of what is troubling the Trump people in their relationship with the United States military. General Milley was on the CBS program 60 Minutes, And here's a short clip from that that's gone around social media that reveals the depth of these feelings.
President Trump recently said that your dealings with China were so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death.
That's right, he said that. That's correct.
He is suggesting that you be punished by death. The former commander-in-chief to his former top military advisor.
Look, I'm a soldier. I've been faithful and loyal to the Constitution of the United States for 44 and a half years. And my family and I have sacrificed greatly for this country, my mother and father before them. And, you know, as much as these comments are directed at me, it's also directed at the institution of the military. And there's 2.1 million of us in uniform. And the American people can take it to the bank that all of us, every single one of us, from private to general, we're loyal to that Constitution and we'll never turn our back on it no matter what the threats, no matter what the humiliation, no matter what. If we're willing to die for that document, if we're willing to deploy to combat, if we're willing to lose an arm, a leg, an eye, to protect and support and defend that document and protect the American people, then we're willing to live for it too. So I'm not going to comment directly on those things, but I can tell you that this military, this soldier, me, will never turn our back on that Constitution.
But for the record, was there anything inappropriate or treasonous about the calls you made to China?
Absolutely not. Zero. None.
It almost seems odd to ask this question because the former commander-in-chief seems to be calling for your execution. Are you worried about your safety?
I've got adequate safety precautions. I wish those comments had not been made, but they were, and we'll take appropriate measures to ensure my safety and the safety of my family.
That interview with CBS took place in November 2023. So let's remember a bit of chronology. General Milley's problems with Donald Trump really began with the January the 6th events in 2021. Milley was appointed by Trump in Trump's first term, then went on to serve under Biden and withdrew about 2 years ago in September 2023. Then Trump's attack on the general took place later, and the interview in November of 2023 followed soon after. All of this is part of a general environment, tension between Donald Trump and sections of the U.S. military, the ones who are proud of the diversity of the U.S. armed forces, which has traditionally been part of their strength. That is not what the Trump people feel, obviously. The very high-ranking officers in the United States Armed Forces who have been purged by the Trump administration reminds me, because of my age, of something that has happened previously in the United States. And that is when there was this very ugly movement in the United States known as McCarthyism in the 1950s. And Joseph McCarthy came to his end because he took on the United States Army that he accused of being full of communists. I'm going to end this international press review by playing you something from the Smithsonian that's been on social media. It's a little summary of the fall of Joseph McCarthy because of the hearings in 1954. His downfall was partly engineered by a Boston lawyer called Joseph Welch. And here you'll get a glimpse of what that was like. I think the Trump administration, if it continues attacking its own institutions, is headed, perhaps, for the same outcome.
In early 1954, with his power at its peak, Senator McCarthy takes a gamble. Armed with the flimsiest of evidence, he takes on a respected institution, the U.S. Army. He claims it is infiltrated by communists and that senior officers are turning a blind eye. The explosive charges trigger public hearings in the Senate. Live TV coverage provides millions of Americans with their first sustained look at the crusading senator and his bare-knuckle methods.
In this committee, activities may well determine whether this nation will live or die.
I want to make it clear that the United States Army does not coddle communists. This committee knows that. The American people know that.
For over a month, McCarthy and his team exchange fire with the Army's counsel.
Have been working to uncover countries.
June 9th, 1954.
Run away.
A lawyer for the Army, Joseph Welch,
Do that.
demands that McCarthy's staff release its secret list of alleged Army subversives. McCarthy responds by dredging up a past link between a young lawyer in Welch's firm and the Communist Party.
I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party.
After years of bullying his victims, McCarthy is smug and confident. But Welch counterattacks.
Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. If it were in my power to forgive you for your reckless cruelty, I would do so. I like to think I'm a gentleman. But your forgiveness will have to come from someone other than me. Mr. Chairman.
Millions of Americans watch.
He was just bathing, yes, and bathing.
Senator, may we not drop this? Let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
McCarthy's gamble, taking on the Army, backfires.
Mr. Welch here has
His charges don't stick. Many in his own party turn against him. 6 months later, the Senate officially censures him. His reign of terror is over, and his reputation in tatters.